I'm getting really interested in this homotopy type theory thing. This is Emily Reel's talk, and it's really, really good. I'm listening to it the second time, and it looks to me what I want to do is just start with a functional programming language, standard ML, and develop a course on programming during which you develop something like a dependent type theory system in which you can do proofs, and you do that at the same time as you're learning this programming language. So by the end of it, you'll have a very good idea of what the correspondence between proofs and types and programs really is. And I have a feeling that you can start out with some special cases in standard ML and just produce a kind of programming style, a bit like the one that Gregor Kixali's developed at UBC, because they run this huge course on programming, and they have hundreds and hundreds of students, and they produced a kind of recipe for solving programming problems, which they did in Racket. And I think there's certain advantages to using SML that Racket doesn't have, provided students can get the hang of pattern matching in arguments to functions, because that's the thing that makes standard ML hard to learn for most people who come from other languages. People get very confused about the difference between patterns and arguments to functions and things, because the syntax is unusual. It's that the syntax for declaring a function which declares deconstructors at the same time as declaring the function. And it's very elegant, but you really have to have a clear idea of what's going on under the hood in order to understand why the compiler won't parse your arguments to functions, and everybody goes on wanting to put brackets around all the arguments to their functions, and they end up constructing pair patterns for deconstructing pairs, and then the function type goes wrong, and they'll get all confused because they don't have a clear idea of the underlying type theory before they learn the programming. But that's beside the point. I think you could develop a course teaching proof by writing programs which produce proofs at the same time as calculating. They produce correctness proofs at the same time as calculating the functions. I'm thinking of things like is prime or is a multiple of 9. I think that would be really good. So a bit of Emily.
Now my goal is just to take an arbitrary x, an arbitrary term of type p of x, and return a term of type p of x. And I can write down a function that does that. I take my x, I take my term q of type p of x, and I return q. So this path lifting function is defined by path induction from the identity function. And that seems sort of magically trivial, and that's how the proofs of all of the aspects of the infinity group word structure proceed as well.
And you end up with this idea that in at least in univalent foundations, proofs kind of live on a topological space, and there's certain types you can transform proofs into each other, but depending on the underlying space, you may not be able to transform all proofs into each other, so you end up with these homotopy classes. And then you think about what is the topology of truth in general, and I'm sure that would end up. It's a very holistic and interesting approach to truth. Yeah, very good lecture. That's Emily Reel's talk on their fields. Well, what is it? It's on this blog post from November the 8th. Fields Institute talk. They did some seminar. It sounds like there are a lot of other good talks at that seminar, but I haven't watched any of the other lectures. There's just this problem with some of the slides that they don't show fully on the screen. And sometimes there's some really crucial things that don't show on the screen. But it's okay. The truth is out there.